waste management. It is the technology is at the heart of it all. And learning from the EU, how will technology support Kenya's transition? Because whereas we've seen the efforts by the government, to encourage innovations, digital literacy, how will innovations and rather technology assist Kenya in achieving and at least getting to half of where Europe is?
I think there's a lot of automation and digitization in this. So we are dealing with a lot of data. I mean, they're onboarding so many companies right now in KEPRO, and they have to be responsible for managing that data towards the Environmental Authority of Kenya. So a lot of it is about data solutions and technology coming from Europe. Because without that digital infrastructure, you cannot build a transparent system to manage all this. And then also maybe the design aspects, and you can argue is that technology, but really designing a product, we think of it as you have to start at the design phase. Design it to get taken apart so it can be used in a second life cycle, for example. So for us, there's a lot of creative design thinking, the way we've done our waste management system. So we create very innovative products that can be easily taken apart and they don't have too many different kinds of plastic, for example. We try to keep it simple also. So maybe you've heard the phrase Scandinavian minimalism. We try to keep it rather simple so we don't overcomplicate the products. So I'd say design and then data and digitization are two key elements.
Absolutely. James, as we enter the home stretch of this conversation, I want you to speak to the conference tomorrow and perhaps some of the preliminary objectives you'd like to see, short term as well as long term.
So of course, the conversation tomorrow is quite targeted. So Kenya has emerged quite strongly as a critical champion in terms of implementation of EPR. Today, the president mentioned that they are moving, of course, regionally, we are the front runners in terms of implementation of the extended producer responsibility. And so we saw it needful to sort of also give a platform for peer-to-peer exchange. So we'll be bringing in delegates from across the region, Rwanda, Tanzania, as well as Uganda, just to be able to also understand their experiences and see what we can also borrow from them. And so beyond that, we also want to demystify, or rather document the challenges that are there as far as, or rather both the challenges and opportunities as far as the transition towards implementation of mandatory EPR is concerned. And then in terms of the preliminary objectives moving forward, you're looking at us, of course, encouraging members of the public, more of a call to action to us to take a lead role in terms of transition towards a circular economy. So of course, at very minute levels, at very granular levels, encouraging people to first properly dispose of your waste, even before we go to the conversation on segregation of waste at source. Ensure that you're putting your waste in the bin. So that would be the main clarion call for tomorrow. But broadly and by and large is trying to exchange ideas from the different countries and see how we can improve our waste ecosystem in Kenya.
And brilliant. What do you think that DI East Africa would be able to contribute to the conversation tomorrow and of course to what he's speaking about?
A lot of the best practice sharing we'll be doing from the European side, right? And also just to be there to re-emphasize this idea of partnerships. That's why we're bringing in as public sector, private sector, there's CBOs tomorrow, because we need those stakeholders around the table to make this happen.
Yes.
And do you think, do you foresee perhaps successes, or do you see any successes as well as challenges post tomorrow?
There will always be challenges, but I think the fact that since November 1st, NEMA is now enforcing the Sustainable Waste Management Act will create a lot of tension in the country, but also create the necessary path forward for sustainable waste management.
Okay, brilliant. And James, let's get to the closing remarks and what you'd like to see. Speak to Kenyans. You can use that camera over there. Speak to Kenyans what you'd like to see, and what you'd like the whole embracing of sustainability, and so that it doesn't look like jargon. That it doesn't look like we are speaking about issues that do not concern us. Because at the end of the day, until we start, back then we used to be told of the ozone layer. That conversation has progressed over time, over the decades. Perhaps break it down to Kenyans to be able to see, well, then this is a conversation that I want to be part of.
Yes. So I think mine would be more of a call to action to all Kenyans. Of course, first understand, and I think somebody today said that you don't need to go to school to understand that climate change is real. And so for me, it's a call to action to all Kenyan citizens and beyond Kenya. Take it upon yourself to first ensure you are properly disposing of your waste. Then understand that, take it to a second notch. If you're already disposing of your waste, segregate your waste at source. At the very basic level, try and segregate your dry waste separate from your wet waste. Yes. When I talk about dry waste, I'm talking about a bottle of water, a plastic bottle for that matter, and wet waste would be food waste and the likes. So those two, you are sort of supporting the waste ecosystem as far as recycling is concerned. And then, of course, make it a clarion call for you and members of the community to try and demystify the narrative on waste.
Okay.
So we continuously, and in Kenya, we continuously say, you see trash, I see cash. So see trash as cash.
Okay.
I think with the EPR, you'll be seeing a lot more cash in the waste ecosystem. And at some point, you'll probably not be putting out your waste to be collected. You'll be taking it out for the recyclers and get some incentive back.
When you mention cash, of course, Kenyans will start paying attention.
Exactly.
Trash, you see cash.
Sure.
Klaus, you get the final word.
Thank you. Well, I'd say tomorrow is really about the partnership approach we've been using all along, right? And I think it's also about tomorrow we're celebrating that Kenya, like James is saying, has been the front runner.
Yes.
Kenya is a regional front runner in sustainable waste management. So it's also about saying this to Kenya, they should be proud to be a front runner in the region. And now we have to go mainstream.
Yes.
So let's break it down. Get it down to the youth, get it into the schools, be part of curricula. That's what we'll be working on next year with KEPRO.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the program. I've been speaking to Klaus Len Christensen, he's the manager of DI East Africa, as well as James Odongo, Chief Administrative Officer at KEPRO. Thank you so much for joining us and for your feedback. We are grateful. The conversation, of course, continues online. You will be able to see KEPRO's activity as well as DI East Africa's activity, their social media handles for more details of that conference that begins tomorrow. My name is George Maringa, thanking you so much on behalf of the entire team, led by Nick Mavindi, the producer, the director, and the entire crew that goes behind the scenes to ensure that this production, the bulletin, is a success. I'll see you tomorrow on the People's Court. Good night from Nairobi.